What up? What up? What up? What up? What up? Welcome back to Ravens Roundup. And today we're going to talk about this coaching staff that Jesse Mentor has assembled. The last time we got together as a group, it was right after we finished playing. And so, I'm sorry, it was right before Mentor got hired. So we hadn't had a chance to sit down and talk together as a whole about how we feel about these different hires. So we're going to give you a little background on pretty much every coach. And if the slide is not 100% correct, blame my personal assistant, GPT. So if the slide ain't 100% correct, blame my personal assistant, GPT. So, but for the most part, from what I skimmed, it looked like it was straight. But I'm sure, even with the technology, they don't always get it right. And so, and I just didn't feel like typing all that stuff up today while I was grading papers. So that's where we at. Jose's not gonna be here today. He got a sucker in the coaching today when it was supposed to be a practice, but the practice got turned into a game, and so he had to, he got to do what he got to do for his little boy. So it is what it is. But we got four of us here. We got Sutton from PRP, we got Kerry and Chris from Deep Cover, and we got myself from here. Fellas, how y'all been doing in these streets here lately? Other than Chris, who got matter of fact, I'll go find the picture, Chris. While you tell me how y'all doing.
Doing good, trying to get through this off season. I mean, it's officially started now. The Ravens off season started a month and some change ago. But now that there's no more football, Super Bowl is over. We us Ravens content creators, we were just talking about this, clinging the straws of information. You know what I'm saying? So that's we here talking about these coaches, but I've been doing good, man. I can't complain.
Got it, Kerry.
Yeah, same here, man. Like you said, the information is kind of slowly trickling. We getting like a coach hire every couple of days. You're waiting on this assistant, that assistant. So, we're trying to keep it going as much as possible. But, I've been enjoying this time of stress-free football, watching other fan bases crash out and just enjoying like him putting his staff together.
And Chris, you can kind of explain what's on the screen and tell us how you doing.
Ooh, damn!
Got it live and direct.
Oof.
Yeah, I got the package yesterday, and man, I don't know what the hell they did. I think they dribbled it up to the front door. But
So,
I appreciate it anyway. I appreciate it, of course, as always.
You got they fixed it. They not fixed that one, but they supposed to be sending another one. So hopefully this one don't get crossover and heads like that one did. But,
it looked like they put it in the dryer first.
They did something. That something gonna be shooting in the mail room. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna get into. Matter of fact, let me say something. Say what's up real quick. I don't want to be rude to the people. Big Reg, 86 Ghost, Marcus, Donovan, G Easy, habitual line stepper, Chris. Who else we got? What's that? CES Junior, Cam, Tila, Glaucoma. Hey, the usuals. What's this? Oh, mine. It was too small for my eyes. What's good? Appreciate y'all for coming through. And I see we got Tila, we got Marcus. I think we got everybody that's in here so far that done said something. Urban, what's good? And Point. But they'll trickle in and we'll get to them. But let's go ahead and get started with what we got so we can get as much input from my man Chris, because Chris got a dip on us on a little bit. So last time we got together, we didn't have a coach. Now we do have a coach, and it's Jesse Mentor. So his background: 06 Notre Dame defensive intern, 07 Cincinnati graduate assistant. If I'm not mistaken, his dad was still coaching there too, I think. 09 to 10 Indiana State linebackers coach, 11-12 Indiana State defensive coordinator, 13 to 16 Georgia State defensive coordinator, 17 Baltimore assistant, 18 Baltimore assistant DBs, 19 through 20 defensive back coach, 21 left and went to Vanderbilt to be the defensive coordinator, 22 to 23 went to Michigan to be the DC after Mike McDonald left. 24, 25 went with Jim Nim to Los Angeles, and now he's our Baltimore Ravens head coach. Chris, I'll start with you. How do you like the hire of Jesse Mentor?
So prior to this, I was a little bit skeptical about the hire because there wasn't a clear connection with a OC or any kind of offensive room. But looking at what he's done as far as filling out the staff, I like it. I see the vision with it.
Mhm.
Now, that's not to say like, oh yeah, this is a slam dunk. He got an all-star squad, a coaching staff. You know, on paper it looks good. Now, obviously it's time to see it, mesh together and see how it comes along. But just the way that it's come along, as far as not everybody is buddy buddy, like not
Mhm.
everybody knows each other. It seems like a genuine search for getting the best people at that job. You look at the going out and getting the Falcons offensive line coach. There
Mhm.
was no connection there,
Right.
but he was the best guy available.
Yeah.
And that's what you want to see. You want to see that. You want to see guys from different places come together and then have, because they have like a similar mindset, but they all come from different trees, different coaches.
Mhm.
And that's kind of what you want to see, kind of like the same vision, but they're coming from different places. So I'm encouraged by it, and I like the way that the whole group is coming around, and the things that are coming out about Jesse Minter too, with the players. Like, you just see player after player from the Chargers talk about how good he is, just as far as a person, and being able
Mhm.
to teach them and being able to relate to them. And that's one of the things that make Mike McDonald so good, is you would hear Marlowe say he was teaching us what we needed to do, not just saying you have to do this. He was
Mhm.
showing us the why and what everybody else's job is too, and how it works in a cohesive unit. And you hear the similar things about Jesse Minter when the Chargers defensive players talk about him.
So,
Yeah, I mean, I was an advocate early on when the Ravens did not have a head coach. I was an advocate for the Ravens going out and getting an offensive guy. I'm on record saying that multiple times. However, as time has worn on, the Jesse Minter hire has definitely grown on me. And having a defensive coach has definitely grown on me as well. The thing I like about it the most is this. I think we all saw, almost 48 hours ago, what this league is shifting back to, right? It's shifting back to defensive prowess, right? I mean, for the past, 5-10 years, the whole thing has been, oh, you got to get a young offensive mind. You got to get a Sean McVay. You got to get a Shanahan. You got to get one of these guys who can really open up the offense. But we just watched two head coaches in the Super Bowl who are defensive-minded guys. And we watched them throughout the playoffs shut down offenses, like high-powered offenses. Look what Mike McDonald, not to take it too far off of Jesse Minter, but look what Mike McDonald just had to go through. He whooped Shanahan's ass. He whooped McVay's ass, right? And then, of course, he took care of the Patriots in the Super Bowl, right? And they were the 1 seed. So, defense winning championships is officially back. And the fact that Jesse Minter is of that same sort of ilk really gives me a lot of confidence and, courage going into next season. And I really like what Chris said, kind of assembling an Avengers of sorts, so to say, of a coaching staff, which I'm sure we'll get into later down the line of this episode. All of those guys bring different things and skill sets to the table, where when you bring them together and they collaborate, it's going to create something beautiful, something new, right? And I think that's the main thing that us Ravens fans really wanted. We didn't want to run it back with the same regime. We didn't want somebody who was too familiar, but we also didn't want somebody who was too way left field. So I think hiring Jesse Minter was the perfect mix between a safe pick and kind of like a how do you say, a risky or kind of like a potential type of guy. You know what I mean? Like we're really banking on what, how do I say? We don't know exactly what Jesse Minter's ceiling is going to be. Right. And I think that's the biggest thing. Like, we didn't want anybody who we knew had a clear ceiling with the Baltimore Ravens. Like, as much as I love him, Anthony Weaver, I love him at DC, wouldn't have wanted him at head coach. Right. Cliff Kingsbury, another guy, Mike McDaniel, like some of those guys, some of those names that were floated out there, we knew that they had a ceiling on their potential. We don't know the ceiling of Jesse Minter's potential. And the fact that he's coming in here, he's got all the tools, right? He's the chef that's got every single piece of, every single ingredient in this kitchen of the Baltimore Ravens, right? You look at when he was in LA, he had Derwin James.
Mhm.
Now he's coming over here to the Baltimore Ravens. He's got Kyle Hamilton, basically the same piece, if not better.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And it's debatable on that. But I just think that Jesse Minter, he's going to come in here and he's going to really turn around the culture. And he's going to, the defense just in general, I think is going to get back to being that, early 2020s. I don't want to say like 2000s defense because that was one of a kind. But that early 2020s defense that we saw that was really shutting shit down, You know what I mean? Like the same defense that strapped up the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game under Mike McDonald's tutelage, you only allow 17 points. I think we're getting back to that. And if we can get back to that, it's going to make the jobs of guys like Lamar Jackson a whole lot easier. So if I had to say I like it or I love it, I love it. Let's go, Jesse.
And I'm gonna turn this over to the what we call the Negro Damas, who's called about 4 of these coaching hires in our group chat. So he has been on fire. Kerry has called about 4 of these hires. So Kerry, what do you think about Jesse being hired as the head coach?
Yeah, man, I love it. When they hired him, I thought in a vacuum, they probably hired the best coach of this cycle.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it. Every opening reached out to him to interview him, for the position. That's how highly thought of he was. But like Chris, because of that offensive piece and because of his familiarity with the Ravens, I'm like, okay, is this too familiar? What is his offensive beliefs? And like, honestly, a lot of my questions going in, he answered before they even kicked the ball off. Because when you look at him, and to keep it on him first, he is a defensive play caller that's going to be able to stand toe to toe with any offensive play caller there is.
Yep.
Period. He's shown an ability to adjust week to week. He's shown an ability to utilize players to their strengths. He's shown an ability to create a pass rush without a game-wrecking pass rusher. So, I mean, all those things bode really well. But again, you wanted to see what the staff as a whole was going to turn around and look like. And like I said, he answered the bell right away. He said that, he wanted to be innovative on all 3 phases as far as the game. And he showed that. Like, he hired a Declan Doyle in a situation where you have an MVP quarterback and you have a team that's used to making deep playoff runs. He could have easily hired a veteran offensive coordinator who's done it before. Keep it simple, keep it safe, run the ball. No, he didn't, because he understands the bigger picture and he's aiming higher. And I thought that once he made that hire, I was like, okay, he gets it. So that answered a lot of questions for me as far as, being able to have new ideas, being able to have some evolution in the room. And, the only thing I'll say, and we'll see how that goes, is whether he has the cachet to kind of get what he wants, in these draft rooms with EDC and Ozzy. But, I mean, that very well may be the case because, evidently he's going to be reporting directly to Bashotti like Harbs was. So does he have the temperament? Does he have the stomach to really stand on business in some of these situations? We'll see that. But, other than that, I think he's passed every test I've had for him with flying colors. And like I said, looking back at it, I feel even better about him they hired the best coach they could have in this situation.
I agree. Just real quick, the list of guys. Mike LaFleur went to the Cardinals. Stefanski went to the Falcons. We obviously have Mentor. Joe Brady went to the Bills. Monken to the Browns. Clint Kubiak finalized today or yesterday with the Raiders. Jeff Hafley, who was the Packers DC, went to the Dolphins. Mike McCarthy to the Steelers. John Harbaugh to Giants, and Robert Saleh to the Titans. That's all 10 openings right there that have been filled. Chris, Declan Doyle, honest thoughts. OC.
I mean, it's exciting because from what you hear about him, when you have, guys like Johnson and you got Sean Payton talking about how much of a brilliant mind this kid is, and he is a kid, 29 years old. So it gets you excited, but there's a little hint of we don't know what to really expect because
Mhm.
we've never seen his actual offense. You know, we've seen him in Chicago as the offensive coordinator, but was that actually his offense? You know,
Right.
obviously learning from, you know, a great offensive mind, that helps a ton. And I think there's going to be growing pains. Obviously, I mean, look at Mike McDonald's first year as the defensive coordinator of the Ravens. It wasn't all smooth. Like there was, you know, there was some tough times there. But and I expect the same thing with Declan Doyle. But I think it's exciting as hell to have such a young, respected guy like this come in and be able to work with Lamar, collaborate with Lamar, and just get some new ideas in here, get a new type of offense in this building, and I think it's a breath of fresh air. So I'm definitely excited by it, and I can't wait to see what his vision actually is for this offense.
So
Yeah, I mean, for me, I mean, you mentioned he's a kid. He definitely is. He's about a year younger than me, so I guess that makes me a kid too.
no, you're not a kid
But
because you're older than my dog. It's a fine line. It's a fine line.
but no, man. You know what really like excites me about Declan Doyle. Number one, I understand he didn't call plays with,
Mhm.
under Ben Johnson. However, I do believe that bringing in a Lombardi, which I'm sure we'll probably get to that in a second. I'm not sure if he's in the slideshow as well, but I believe it creates checks and balances for the offensive coordinator position. You know, he's not just going to be able to get the keys to the Lamborghini and go absolutely crazy, right? He's going to have a guy who's there like saying like, hey, don't do that. Hey, I've seen this before back in 2006. I saw this back in 2009 with Drew Brees. I saw this back in 2019 with Justin Hurt. Hey, look, do this, you know, that sort of thing. He's going to give him direction. So that gives me kind of some solace with Declan Doyle, but he's a whiz kid. You know, Rick Minter, Jesse Minter's dad, called him that in an interview that he did a couple of days ago. But the biggest thing for me is that, like I said, he's 29 years old, no wife, no kids. He ain't got nothing but time.
All
You know what I'm
ball.
saying? All ball, 100% ball. You know what I mean? So I mean, I have no doubt at all in my mind that he is going to draw up an offense that can get Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, Zay Flowers, and all those guys over the hump, right? I mean, we talk about the defense. The defense is going to be just fine, right? And then you have Lamar Jackson, who kind of is just plug and play. And you can put really any coach back there. He's going to put up damn near MVP numbers as long as he stays healthy. So just kind of adding new wrinkles to the offense. And then another thing as well, Declan Doyle loves his trick plays. I think you're going to see a whole lot more trickery with his Baltimore Ravens offense, a whole lot more just kind of creativity as well. So overall, I love the hire of Declan Doyle. I didn't at first because I was thinking like, who is this, you know, what behind the ears kid who's going to come in and kind of coach up my team, right, and bring us to a Super Bowl. But again, I love the fact that they brought in guys who can kind of steer him in the right direction and bring him back down to earth, because it's going to get tough. I mean, you're talking about a 29-year-old guy who is going to be tasked with calling games when the bullets are flying in real time. He's going to have to make decisions in real time. And not only that, he's going to have to deal with the consequences of decisions that don't go his way, because naturally there's going to be times where some things don't work out for the Ravens offense, and he's going to have to stand up in front of the media and talk about it. You know, he's never had to face that kind of music before. So it's going to be a lot on his plate. But again, he ain't got nothing but time. It's all ball for him. So I think he'll get accustomed very quickly. I'm glad that we hired him early in the offseason, right? And so he can kind of get accustomed, you know, with a head coach Mentor. Also, he's going to be heavily involved in the draft process. I'm sure free agency, I'm sure he'll have a say. So, I mean, I love it. I love the Declan Doyle hire damn near just as much as I love the Jesse Mentor hire.
Kerry?
Yeah, I agree. This was the first hire that was like they get it. You know,
Right.
to have the ambition to make this move is just huge. I love the potential synergy between him and Dwayne Letford. I think you look at that Falcons running game and you look at the way Chicago's passing game, if he's going to be running the system similar to what Ben Johnson, you can see the parallels between those two things, and you can see how you can marry the run and the pass. I also love that it just gives different influence and different eyes on this roster and how you shape it. You know, you look at, Letford, I'm sure we're going to talk about that zone running game. now I feel more confident in, hey, maybe I don't have to have a 20 million a year guard and a first round pick at guard to get good guard play.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you look at the receiving game. Hey, maybe, you know, obviously you want to get high quality players in, but hey, maybe there was a player that used to play with Chicago or, you know, was with him in New Orleans or something like that that might still be able to play, that, hey, I can plug him in and get some production because he knows this system and he knows, hey, I can operate in this and make some plays. So it just opens up a different door of possibilities. And then one thing I'm thinking about with this move, because I think you look at, you know, offense, whiz kid, all these things. He's about running the football. Ben Johnson is about running the football. Sean Payton is about running the football.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think back to last year, and we had multiple games where the coaching staff was under fire for not getting Derrick Henry enough touches or not enough snaps. There was questions about the run play diet, the plays that were being called, this and that. There was questions, obviously, about the guards all year. Derrick Henry still almost won the rushing title.
Right.
Now imagine what he's going to do in under this regime, where offensive line is going to be coached better. There's going to be more synergy. They're going to probably call a wide zone offense predominantly, which fits right up his alley.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's going to go nuts next year.
I agree. I 100% agree. Let me get Chris's input on this one guy right here. Anthony Weaver, who was like I think Morgan Adsit said today, the worst kept secret in America finally came out, you know, officially today with Anthony Weaver being the defensive coordinator, 2010 Florida graduate assistant, 11 North Texas linebackers coach. Did he coach Orr? Didn't Orr go to North Texas? I have to look into that. I think Orr was the Chet, help me out. I think Orr went to North Texas, but I don't know if he was there when Weaver was coaching. So that's something I'll dig into a little bit later. 2012 went to the NFL as a Jets defensive line coach, assistant defensive line coach. Bills in 2013, Browns in 14-15, Texans in 16 through 19 through 20, to the Ravens in 21. Associate head coach of defensive line 22-23.
Yeah, he was coach.
He was.
Yeah, or was in North Texas. Yep.
Cool. At the same time,
2010 through 2013. So yeah.
Okay. That's a little nugget that we didn't put together right there. And then he was just recently named the defensive coordinator for Miami and now of Baltimore. A voice, because he's not gonna call the plays. He already said he calling his own plays. But I think this is a voice that will be I hate to use this word, but this is the only one I can think of right now, the disciplinarian for that team. And I know you ain't whooping people and putting them on punishment, but I can't think of or motivator, maybe. Motivator to get the most out of guys. Whatever the best term is to say that, I think that's what Weaver does. And I think he coaches the crap out of that D-line. And they get back to some of the stuff they used to do when Mike was here. But Chris, what you think about Ant?
Yeah, it's been a couple years in the making to make him the DC. That's for sure. Probably should have been chosen a couple years ago, but it is what it is. I'm gonna make this quick because I gotta head out.
Okay. They're my girls.
But, yeah, I gotta get downstairs. I will. But yeah, I mean, it's encouraging. A guy who's been the assistant head coach. That I think that's going to be huge for a guy coming in, Jesse Minter, who's going to need that kind of vision and that kind of guidance of somebody that he can lean on, who we know is well respected throughout the league, and kind of has that, like, the word you hear with him is like presidential kind of feel. Mm-hmm. So let me go because these little girls are about to bust my ass. Yeah.
I appreciate it.
I see y'all. Peace.
All right, Chris.
Hey, I didn't know what that was buzzing, but that's the buzzer for the door. I forgot, when you live in the city, that's the stuff you see is real. You got to get buzzed in. I'm from the country. They just go knock up on the door. We We ain't used to that.
Hey, one more buzz. We would have had to make some adjustments for next week. Chris would have been in trouble.
Because I heard it the first time, but I didn't know what it was. Because I looked around like, what is that? And then I didn't like. That's the first time I ever heard that. Because I ain't, I'm scared of New York. I feel like it's too fast. It's too big for me. But
too much hustle and bustle.
Yeah. So I'm gonna make my way up there eventually. But still, we can go to you, Kerry, with Anthony Weaver.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a quality hire. The thing that jumped out to me right away was how hard that Dolphins defense played for him last year when they didn't have anything to play for. Like that run they went on last year, like after they started the way they started, and like even after they traded Jalen Phillips, if you look at their pressure rates from the time they lost Phillips on, it stayed on par. Like he still had guys getting after it. I think it'll be interesting to see if they tap into some of the stuff that he did because, Mentor is, heavy quarters cover is going to run that at probably the highest rate in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Weaver ran, I think, cover 2 at one of the higher rates in the league. So I would be interested to really. I wish I would be a fly on the wall to see what led him to that, and then be able to see them kind of converse, and maybe that's something that they can find a way to mix in. But yeah, Anthony Weaver is just a leader of men. I know it's like a cliche thing, but that's what you get from everybody that talks about him is just a leader of men who's somebody that should be a head coach by now and probably will be at some point. So yeah, I mean, just a really quality hire, and coach, like you said, somebody specifically with that defensive line that's going to hold guys accountable and push them towards greatness.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, I just thought he's one of those guys that sometimes you just get lucky, like a coach where he's too good to not be, a head coach or be calling plays for somebody. But sometimes circumstances just lead to him just kind of getting squeezed out. And that's what happened in this case. But they were lucky enough to have the prior relationship with him to be able to hire him as the DC, even though he's not going to call plays. So I just thought it was just a great, great hire.
Good.
Yeah, and just building off of that, I mean, number one, you get a guy who has experience calling plays, did for the last 2 years with the Miami Dolphins. I know you mentioned he coached up a lot of cover 2. He called a lot of cover 2. Mentor ran a lot of quarters. I think they probably meet in the middle, especially having the Kyle Hamilton there. And they run a lot of cover 3, just like we saw this past season. You know what I mean? And having Kyle Hamilton close to the line of scrimmage and wreaking all types of havoc. Number 2, for me, is that like, of course, we already know Mentor's going to be calling the defense. He's going to be scheming up the defense. He's going to be calling the defense on game days. So that really simplifies the role of an Anthony Weaver. And all he really got to do, I mean, X's and O's are taken care of. All he got to do is piss off the Jimmies and Joes and make sure that they're ready to go out there and kick ass on Sundays. You know what I mean? That's pretty much all it boils down to. So I love it, honestly. And, I mentioned this to I mentioned this last week on my show. I said that, not everybody, I mean, some of the best employees just don't need to be in leadership positions, right? Keep them where they're at. I mean, if they're good at what they're good at, you don't have to automatically throw them into a managerial role or something like that. Sometimes they're just good where they're at. And I think that Anthony Weaver was definitely that. Like Chris said before he hopped off, he should have been the DC for the Ravens. He already is familiar with the franchise, but I'm glad that we're bringing him back in now. And I think he's going to take full advantage of this opportunity to make sure that this defense is second to none in the league behind Jesse Mentor. So I love it. Again, I know I'm saying I love everything, but I just do. I genuinely do love it all right now. I mean, I think
we're honeymooning right now.
Exactly. We are. And I know maybe, halfway through the season, we might be killing them for, why did he call this or why, you know what I'm saying? It happens. But like, I think that on paper right now, which is all we have to deal with, we're not going to get no Ravens football for the next, 7-8 months on paper right now is looking damn good. And I love Anthony Weaver.
Yep. 7 months. I had to count on my fingers. All right. Next up, passing game coordinator, Marcus Brady. I don't know much about Marcus, but I'll go through this. 2009, 2017, Canadian football, various roles, wide receiver, quarterback, OC. He came to the NFL in 2018 with the Indianapolis Colts as an offensive assistant through offensive coordinator 2022. Went to the Eagles as a senior offensive assistant. That's a title. He's still coaching. And 25, 26, he was a Chargers passing game coordinator, and now he's our passing game coordinator over here. Any of you fellas got an idea of like his background and what he's done, Chris? I'm not Chris, Kerry or Sutton?
Yeah, I'll jump in on this one. I've heard a lot about him in passing, and that he's just been in these circles, but I didn't really do that much of a deep dive into him until after the Ravens made the hire. And it made sense. I've said this a lot over the last couple of weeks. When you're putting together a staff, especially on offense, you need to have guys that speak the same language as the coordinator. He speaks the same language as the coordinator. If you look at those years in Indianapolis, that's where he kind of cut his teeth. That was under Frank Wright, when Frank Wright was the coach of the Colts. That's a West Coast offense. Declan Doyle, West Coast offense.
Mm-hmm.
As we go through this, as we go through these hires, you're going to see a lot West Coast offense. Now, it's going to be different ways it's ran, different ways, different things that each guy taps into, but it's still the same language at the end of the day. So to be able to bring in a guy with this resume, that's a lot of years. That's, play calling experience. He's been under some good coaches. To be able to bring a guy in like that, it is definitely, you can't take anything but good out of it. And to me, like, one thing that we'll get to, but I want to point out about this, and maybe there's one other. Actually, I don't think there's one other anymore. You look at passing game coordinator, quarterback coach, both being black. I think the Ravens might be the only team in the league that has that right now. That's the pipeline to head coaching in the future. Passing game coordinator, quarterback coach. Yep. Now, there's defensive coordinators that ball out all the time and get head coaching jobs, this and that. But as far as what people consider the top of the top,
offensive guy,
can you work with quarterbacks? Mm-hmm. So, that I feel a great sense of pride in seeing that from my team.
Think about it, Kerry. The owners want ROI. And the best way for them to get ROI is to have a damn good quarterback that get them wins.
Yep.
So the best coaches need to be quarterback coach, offensive coordinator.
Yep.
And I know the adage is around like defense win championships. And the past two Super Bowls have showed us that if you got a good D-line, your O-line lacking in any capacity, it's going to be a struggle.
Mm-hmm.
But you still got to have a competent offense to help you get there. Other than, and like I think Marcus was kind of spamming it earlier, the Patriots. Just look at their playoff run. I talked about it yesterday on my show. First game, I can't remember who they played, but it wasn't a good team. Then the second one, who they played first round? Let me pull it back up so I can make sure I'm
who the Chargers.
Chargers didn't have an O-line. Second round was
Houston, wasn't it?
CJ Stroud played the worst ever. Yeah. Third was the Broncos, and Bo Nix was hurt, and the snowstorm. And then when they finally played a healthy team, pretty much embarrassed. Pretty much. So you gotta have.
They played 11 games against teams that coaches got fired, and they played the Jets twice.
Nuts. And so, like I explained this yesterday too. Last year they were 4-13, if I'm not mistaken. So, and people that don't know, they put your NFL schedule based off of what you finished in the division. So they had a weak schedule going into it. They went and spent $120 million in free agency. Got a new coach. And all that free agency money didn't have to go to a quarterback because they had a rookie quarterback that they had promise in.
Right.
So they were able to flip their stuff with that weak schedule, and you see where it got them in the Super Bowl. Now next year, it's gonna hit the fan because now they got a first place schedule. And we're gonna see, what they got and can they maintain and is Drake May really? Because at one point he was a leading MVP candidate, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he was up there for a little second.
So we'll see. We'll see if he is what we think he is. But they didn't do him no favors the other day, and but it is what it is. I'm glad they didn't win anyway. I don't want New England to run away with all these different championships.
Me neither.
I'm a little hater right there.
I did not want a new dynasty to start. No, absolutely hell no. And I think they're going to regress next year. Honestly, I think that they can miss the playoffs. They got a grueling schedule next year. I saw it earlier today, but they got like multiple playoff teams. There's nowhere near as cheese as it was this past regular season. So good luck. Good thing for them. They're a young team. They still got some things that they can patch up, but it's gonna be way, way tougher sledding next year than it was for this year.
Agreed. You got any thoughts on Marcus Brady?
Marcus Brady, when it comes to, not really, I don't have too many thoughts, but when it comes to pass game coordinator, is one of those jobs where your success is predicated off of the success of the offensive line, right? None of your schemes that you're drawing up are going to work or come to fruition or be successful if that offensive line is not holding up. And I'm sure we're going to get to the O-line here in a second. I can't wait to hear what you got to say about Mr. Ledford whenever we get to him. But, again, like Kerry said, he speaks the language, right, of the offensive coordinator. And this goes back to the whole thing about Declan Doyle being a tape grinder and just kind of like a junkie, right? Like he's going to have the time to be in collaboration with the Marcus Brady, making sure that all the concepts are in tip top shape for Sunday. So I can't really, I'm kind of indifferent about it, but I like it though, nonetheless.
Yeah. And so we'll know more about Marcus coming up. He's just one of those names that wasn't on my radar, so I didn't have a lot of input on him. Joe Lombardi, older. I think this guy's just brought in kind of to be Leslie Frazier-ish. That's what I think Joe Lombardi has been brought in to do for mentor, to be Leslie Frazier-ish, to just kind of guide him through things, to be there as a somebody. Let me run this by somebody that has seen a bunch of different things. Kerry, you think that's the same for Lombardi?
Yeah, definitely, 100%. I think you nailed it. To me, there's going to be a fusion here. It's not going to be Doyle isn't just going to come in and just run the Ben Johnson offense. He was with Ben Johnson for 1 year compared to all those years he was with Sean Payton.
Right.
It's going to be a fusion. It's going to be probably some principles that he got from Payton, but some new ideas that he's got from Ben Johnson.
And his own.
Yeah, exactly. And his own. But the foundation of that is coming from Sean Payton, which in this instance is going to come from Joe Lombardi. And Joe Lombardi is another guy who on his own in multiple spots, I believe, is called plays. So
14 and 15 was the offensive coordinator at Detroit, and 2021-22 Chargers, and 23-25 Broncos.
Yeah, and from what I heard in both of those spots, he did good things for both of those offenses. So to be able to, step away from that umbrella, come in, and I'm sure he didn't come in and just do everything like Sean Payton did. He infused some of his own ideas. So is a coach that's been well thought of for many years, and probably at the end of the tenure in Denver, he kind of became the scapegoat because, Sean Payton, he just one of those dudes, great offensive mind, genius, but a bit of a jerk, and, doesn't always take the brunt of the criticism when he really should. So, yeah, I think that was just kind of like a scapegoat fire with him being let go in Denver. So to add him in this, consulting basically role, I think it's great for everybody. Everybody's going to be able to learn. And, there's a a wealth of knowledge that he can bring to the table.
Yeah,
So-
I mean, like I mentioned earlier, I mean, it's just providing those checks and balances for the coaching staff. You know what I mean? Like we mentioned, Declan Doyle being 29 years old, having never called plays before. I mean, he's had stints where he's been entrusted to call some plays here and there, but never really in a full capacity. So Joe Lombardi, literally a football lifer who's been around since the 90s, calling balls since the 90s. He's going to be able to kind of bring him back down to earth and reel him in when need be. Now, let me throw this at you guys really quick. I have been on record saying that me personally, I would like both coordinators on the field calling plays, right? And Joe Lombardi, I think he can be up in the box. You can be up in the sky. I'm cool with, give me you can have the bird's eye view.
Yeah.
Let me know what you're seeing from the top. But I want Declan Doyle and Anthony Weaver, who I know he's going to be on the sideline, but I want them both on the sideline to collaborate with the players in real time. You know what I mean? I've said it before, like, when you're up in the box, calling plays and stuff like that, it doesn't really hit the same. Like I use the analogy from one of my guys from the Charm City Sideline podcast. Shout out to them. It said like the difference is like, it's like the difference like when you're talking to your friend on the phone or when you're hanging out with them in person, right? It just hits different.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I think that having a Declan Doyle on the field and having a Joe Lombardi up in the box, that would bode well for this offense. But I wanted to get you guys' thoughts on that. Coach, I know you was disagreeing with me at first.
Yeah,
when
I'm just
I
going
mentioned that.
because I've done both, and the only reason I disagree is because there are pros and cons of both. So, like you said, if the offensive coordinator is on the field, he can make the checks, he can get in people's ass, he can do whatever he needs to do to the players on the field.
Mhm.
But he lacks the vision. But if he go in the box, he has the whole picture, and if he has, and I didn't think about this before I was getting ready to say it, if he's going to go in the box, he needs to have really good position coaches that can, and like Kerry said, speak his language. So I think the offensive coach needs to be in the box so he can see the whole picture based off of, and then do the what. Because I mean, honestly, the best games I called, I was in the box by myself. I was able to go through my script and see how they lined up based off of what I put out there, and then I would just write little scripts like while the defense is on the field. You can't really do that mixing and mingling on the sideline because you talking and doing whatever. In the box, you got time to, and I don't know how the NFL box do it because you look up there, it'd be 9, 12, 15 damn people up there. But in the box, you have, time to process the data that the defense is giving you. On the sideline, you more motivating, trying to change from play to play instead of, in the box, you more big picture, if that makes sense. And on the field, you play to play, and both have pros and cons. And I only disagree with you because, my opinion, the box is better. For somebody that runs something simple and they're trying to get plays off, the field might be better. For this new system that they putting in, the field might be better. Only reason I disagree, not because of the take, is just because of personal preference for me. Here,
That's fair. That's fair.
I think both of y'all make great points, and I think the great thing about the luxury that they have because of the coaching staff that they put together is they could pull it off either way.
right?
Because they've got multiple play callers on the staff that have probably done both that can assist either way. I as you were kind of breaking it down, Coach, I like the idea of Doyle in the box with Lombardi there with him, bounce those ideas off of him. He spent all those years in New Orleans with him, and then have, maybe Brady as the key communicator down on the field, but then you also have your QB coach down there as well. So you're kind of getting the best of both worlds. You're getting it from the eyes of a play caller on the field, and you're getting it from the eyes of a play caller up top. And Doyle, this will be his first time calling plays, but if you put Lombardi up top with him, he's called plays in the NFL. You got Brady on the field, he's called plays in the NFL. So however they want to work it, you've got experience, to be able to like not feel like you're taking something off of the table. And they may just, they may start one way and go the other way with it. You just never know.
Yeah. And you know, the thing is, like, I definitely see your point, coach, for sure. Like for me, I just feel like as a coordinator, if you're on the sideline, like you're actually seeing how the game is living and breathing in real time. And you're also
Yeah.
getting to see like kind of like how your players are responding, you know? And I think about it like this, like when Lamar Jackson comes back over to the sideline after, you know, a drive, a 3 and out, whatever, right? I want Declan Doyle sitting right next to him with that tablet in his hand, showing him, hey, look, this is what you remember. This is what we did all week. And so we're going to go here. And I want Israel Woolfolk right on the other side of Lamar right there and kind of just collaborating on the field in real time. I just think that the communication, just for the communication sake of things, you know, having those guys on the field with Lamar in real time, I think would be very, very beneficial, while having a Joe Lombardi up in the box, seeing how the game is going from, you know, the all 22 angle. But it does come down to personal preference, you know, for what Declan Doyle and what Jesse Minter ultimately is comfortable with, you know. So we'll see how they shake it out. But either way, I mean, I'm praying it helps. I'm praying it works out. You feel me?
Yeah, I'm like you. I don't care who does what, as long as it produces wins. I'm cool.
As long as we scoring 29 plus a game, I'm cool. Do whatever you need to do. You could be calling it from the couch. You know what I'm saying? If it works for you.
Exactly. Let's go to our next guy. But that's a great, you know, and we have been missing each other on this point a bunch of times. Like you say it on stream, or I say it over here. I'm glad we finally got a chance to go back and forth. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how men have a conversation without it being I'm right and you wrong. And everybody got that we could be some common ground.
Like Zaire Franklin and Jeff Teague.
Bro. T was so out of line. He apologized today. I saw it before we came on. But he's surprised. I'm surprised Frank ain't get on his head. You know, Frank one of them bros that he gonna try you. And I felt like Teague was trying him, but they must got some kind of brand deal or something, because he's been on there a lot. And Zaire was trying to protect his bag, because you could see the red just forming in his eyes. He was ready to bite Jeff Teague head off. I know he was.
And rightfully so, because he was really playing with his name. Like, and it was totally uncalled for. You know, I mean, I know you was in there earlier when I was talking about it, coach, in my stream. But like, you can't, like, come on, man. You calling the man out of his name. You talking about he ain't a household name. Nobody know who he is. Like, it was just too disrespectful for me. Like, and they supposed to be homeboys. So I don't know.
Care. You saw it?
Yeah, I seen it. And he was in arm's reach up. He was in arm's reach of him the whole time. So to have that kind of restraint, man, I take my hat off to him, because like he took it somewhere where what is it? Somebody said if you call a man a B, you're gonna find out very soon whether you're right about calling that man a B or not. And that's where it led to. Like, it was at that point where
I know you see these 22-inch biceps. This dude,
within inches from you.
Right.
Yeah, but when Zaire told him, look, dog, you've been traded everywhere. You a one-time all-star. I'm for sure gonna have another Pro Bowl before you get another all-star, because you done.
Yeah.
But it was good content. Whether it is what it is.
We talking about it, right? So
hey, T, you ever seen a Rottweiler and Chihuahua get together? That's what was about to happen to T. Whether he knows it or not, that's what was about to happen to him.
Yeah, there's about to be some furniture moved.
Right. So moving on to my favorite hire, Dwayne Leffert. Again, I'm gonna give a little backstory. I was already a fan of his work, because y'all know I like Mike Penix, so I've been watching the Falcons a little bit, a really lot bit. And I was like noticing how, like, when they run outside zone, because the Falcons got that camera that come from the roof. So you can, and then when you pause it at certain times, you can see all their steps perfect. Like all 5 guys doing the same thing. Then they'll pause later on, and you'll see 2 guys get a turn, and the next guy up on a backer, and then Bijan just running through a tunnel. Like, he rarely even touched sometimes. I was like, man, this dude know what he doing. And then they had some guys, and keep in mind, they were sorry for so long. They was able to draft all these good linemen. But they meshed together, and they finally got a back and some decent quarterback play. And I'm going to say this about the Falcon staff in general. A lot of them cats, I don't see why they were fired. But I'm glad we got Dwayne because I think he was the best offensive line coach out there until maybe Callahan came available. But I don't know if Callahan retired or not, but we got a darn good football coach. And I don't think we're going to see any more hugging your girlfriend or trying to block outside or giving up the chest. We're going to see guys get downhill, and they're going to bend, and they're going to have flat backs, and they're going to move people. The only one that we probably don't see move people like we want to is Linderbaum if he comes back because he light in the pains. But they're running outside zone. You don't have to do that. That's the good thing about it. So,
yeah, I mean, I'm on record saying I am a part of the white dudes named Dwayne fan club. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not something you see every day. So he must be a rarity, right? And so, you know, I mean, I definitely defer to you, Coach, when it comes to, you know, the offensive line coaching and stuff like that. I've been listening to, you know, watching a lot of your content. I remember the day he got hired, I immediately went and watched I think it was like a 6-minute video or something like that. And he was covering him. And, you know, I really like the fact that he's going to be running a lot of these zone schemes. Now, I got a question for you, Coach. I mean, I love the Dwayne Ledford hire, and I definitely don't think that he is going to allow. I mean, Daniel Falele is not coming back. We know he's free agent. Voorhees, I think that they replace him with Emory Jones if they're smart. The rest of the O-line, of course, left tackle, right tackle, that's pretty much figured out. We know they're going to be back. Linderbaum, we'll see if Harbaugh ends up poaching him in free agency. I don't know yet. I think he will get that offensive line back up to, you know, at least above average because this year was below average. But I got to ask you, Coach, and this is going to be, it's an offensive line question, but I've been meaning to, I think I asked it yesterday in our stream, but I didn't get to see your message if you responded to it. What happened to Will Campbell in the Super Bowl? Like, what was wrong with his technique and why was he getting blown up and allowing 14 pressures? That's what I want to know.
So I'm not a fan of straight blaming short arms. Okay. I think he wasn't getting set fast enough. Like I feel like they were getting on him before he was ready to take on the block. So in a sense, he was catching. And so once they realize that they can run through him, then it's tough to just catch and lose slow because they're gonna get a little deeper. They're gonna go a little harder, especially once they realize that you can't block them. And I think early in the game he was late, and they realized that we can just run through this dude. And it was, you know, you get hit a couple times and you kind of woozy. They just gonna keep hitting you. Yeah. And so, you know, and he was still coming off the injury because I think he was hurt up until right when the playoffs started. So he may or may not have full stability in his legs too. And he just started, you know, gutting it out. But again, even if he did that, once they realize they can run through you, they're not gonna stop. Because I think Emmanuel said the very first move you got to be able to defend in the NFL is the bull rush.
Bull rush, yeah.
And if you can't, they're not gonna do anything else.
They don't have to, right? Right. It's like if you can't stop the jab. I mean, why not?
Keep And that's what they did. I mean, somebody sent me something about like saying he like T-Rex arms, and he do have short arms, but that dude a dog for real. He just, I don't know if it was injury or it just wasn't his day, but he'll be all right. And again, a rookie. They had 2 rookies on the left side, if I'm not mistaken. That's tough to do. Yeah. Playing a Super Bowl. Yeah.
Definitely.
So.
Got you.
All right, let's see who next. No, Kerry, did you talk about Ledford? Did I
yeah. Let me jump in on Ledford. I mean, just an amazing hire. Like now, Mike called this one. As soon as he got let go, Mike was on it. Mike, you know, already knew about Ledford. I didn't know about Ledford that much until he got let go, and Mike mentioned him, and Mike was like, "Yeah, this is something I would be all over." And he said that the day he got let go by the Falcons. So, you know, digging more into his background, he came up under Doug Marrone. Now, people that might not remember Doug Marrone, coach with the Bills, right? Coach with Jacksonville. You know, mixed results as a head coach. His run games have always been fire. His ability to coach our offensive line has always been fire. So, like, Ledford being a disciple of that, you know, already piqued my interest. And then I looked at what he did with the Falcons over time. You know, they've had a quality offensive line since he was there. And remember, he's not doing this with all just top picks. I give one example, and it's why I think, I think they're going to bring Linderbaum back in some form or fashion anyway. but it gives me more confidence in a Linderbaum bounce all the way back next season because think about Drew Dahlman. Drew Dahlman was not a heralded player. Ledford made him a Pro Bowl caliber center, got him paid in Chicago.
Yep.
Undersized center just like that. You know, you're banking off of smarts, you're banking off of movement skills, you're banking off of being able to weaponize those movement skills in the run game. And like Linderbaum is like a souped up version of that.
Right.
So like that really perked me up and got me excited about what this could be. I mean, I think, with Linderbaum, we seen the guard play. We know how bad it can get. We don't have the luxury to let a good offensive lineman go at this point. Even if it means the tag, I think they will tag him. And I think he's going to get the best possible coaching for his skill set with Ledford. So that's just going to be huge in itself. Like, obviously, mentor is the one. That's the hire that you want. But as far as, like, impact, Ledford might be right there as far as impact on winning next year. Because if you take this offensive line from what it was to even just sheer competence.
Right.
Just sheer competence with Lamar Jackson in the backfield. Come on, man. We know we've seen that. We know what that is. That's 40 touchdowns. That's 5 picks. That's, all the accolades. So, I mean, just a huge, huge hire.
Like somebody mentioned earlier, Derrick Henry almost won the rushing title behind that offensive line.
Yeah.
Imagine what he would have done with because remember at one point Derrick Henry had a negative yards per before contact.
Oh yeah.
This season.
Yep.
He had a negative yards per contact, and for those that don't know, that means he was getting hit behind the line of scrimmage. That's what that means. And to still come back and almost win the rushing title, if we would have ran him in the second half of that last game behind that offensive line, imagine he gets some good play. Derrick could really push 15 to 2,000 again.
And now what Nitro said a couple weeks ago when we was on stream together, Coach, he was like, Derrick Henry, 2,000 plus yards. I think he said something crazy, like 2,100, 2,200.
He said outrageous number. We had to reel him back in because if he get that number, he probably ain't playing in 4 quarters.
Facts. And like just sticking on Linderbaum really quick, I think it's imperative that you retain Linderbaum by any means necessary, because remember before Tyler Linderbaum got to Baltimore, a huge issue with snaps.
Yep.
Right. Lamar Jackson was over here, over there, up here, trying to catch snaps from I can't remember who was it before Linderbaum.
McCarry at one point, and
and
it's somebody else though. The one he got hurt wasn't McCarry though. It was
I cannot think of his name. He went to Carolina after.
No. Who was it? Damn.
Skura. It was Skura.
It was Skura? Okay. Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. But no, I mean, I think that issue has completely subsided. And, I think that the chemistry between those two is super important because, I mean, as cliche as it is, as obvious as it is, every single play starts with the center, right? Getting the ball to Lamar Jackson, especially whenever they want to run out of the gun. So, I think you got to definitely tag Linderbaum. I don't know what that means for Isaiah Likely, but I think Linderbaum is definitely priority number 1 there for sure.
Got it. Let's see who's next on this thing. Sean Flaherty. Sean Flaherty is the assistant O-line coach, and he's just really going to be, I ain't gonna say a gopher for Ledford, but he'll be the go-between. He'll be, and I'm giving you layman's terms. If Ledford is the bad cop, Flaherty's gonna be the good cop. If Ledford's gonna tear you down, Flaherty's gonna be the one to build you back up. So that's the role. His role is to support and make the room whole as he can with Ledford. So if he needs to be the yin to Ledford's yang, and then to be able to speak whatever language Ledford gets, because he won't be that long. And that'll be a role he can move right into.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know too much about him. And of course, it's going to be, a supplementary role, like you said, to whatever Dwayne Ledford is coaching up. But again, the checks and balances, you mentioned the yin to the yang, like that's going to be important there. And I mean, offensive line, man, that is Whew, I mean, that's the one unit right there that if the Ravens can turn that around, and again, like I said a couple of minutes ago, be above average, right?
Mhm.
This team, you can see
Yeah.
this team hitting its head on the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? Like they're that close. I mean, offensive line, like you mentioned, Derrick Henry did what he did behind that putrid offensive line last year. I mean, if we even get marginally better, I mean, I think that the sky's the limit for this team. So can't really say too much about an assistant offensive line coach, right? But again, hey, net positive.
Kerry?
Yeah, to me, this is one of those where it's so important to kind of mesh continuity and hiring the best guys for the job. And, Letford was one of those ones. I forgot who pointed it out, but Mentor didn't have a tie with him. They identified that this was the best guy for the job, and then in turn, bring his right-hand man with him. Those are continuity ties that I can live with. Now, I mean, anybody can put a coaching staff together and everybody knows each other and be comfortable. Like, that's part of it. That's important. I don't ever bash that too much, but you can't go too far left with it where it's like Todd Monken with Cleveland. Todd is my guy, but Todd is like, hey man, if you weren't already in my phone, you won't be coaching for the Browns. and that's a dangerous game to play.
Who he acting like?
Oh yeah. They got us in East Rutherford now. That's the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
If you ain't in my phone already, hey man, I don't know what to tell you. It's somebody out there hiring, but it ain't gonna be me. But yeah,
like, hey, unknown numbers don't even go through the top phone.
right.
They go straight to block.
Exactly. But yeah, that's what I like most about just this thing as a whole, man. Like they were able to put together a staff where there's continuity, there's there's people that speak the same language, but it's not so much so that I'm just gonna hire my boy here, I'm gonna hire my boy there. They were able to find different guys, like a Marcus Brady is one key one. I don't see any necessary, out there ties as far as him to the rest of the offensive coaching staff, but they identified him as the best guy for the job, and he had continuity within the West Coast system, so they hired him. But then there's going to be other, situations where Mentor hired people that he worked with, previously, and so I'm glad that they gave Letford the levity to say, "Hey, this is my right hand man. I want to bring him in." Make them as comfortable as possible. That's part of this, process. You want all these guys, these coaches, to be comfortable and be able to kind of teach. Letford is going to bring some things to the table that maybe they hadn't heard before. So you need more than one person to teach that when you're teaching it to a big group of people. It's not just the players that he's teaching it to. He's teaching it to the coaches too. He's going to have to teach it to Doyle so they can have the marriage of the run game and the passing game. So, I just think it's great when you can have that continuity, but bring in quality coaches while you're doing it.
Great.
Real quick, where can we start a petition to get that same camera that the Atlanta Falcons have in their stadium in M&T Bank Stadium?
Right.
Because that's what I need to see. Yeah, the roof, the top-down camera. We need that.
But we don't have no roof, son.
Well, hey, look, however they do it with the broadcast cameras, with the strings and all that.
Oh, that,
you know what I'm
saying?
Yeah. They got to make it happen. So we need to start a petition because I need to see those angles. Those angles are I love them. By the way, shout out to LBHT there in the chat. Shout out to our guy Jose. Couldn't make it through tonight. Of course, he had to coach, but shout out to him. I see him in the chat. What's going on, man?
Well,
Yes, sir. What up?
Oh, there you go. What up?
What up, Jose?
There you go. Appreciate you. So this is the last one we're gonna talk about. There's a bunch more, but this one as another guy I think that's gonna be pretty impactful. And this is on the defensive side of the ball. It's Mike Mickens. He was the I'll go through the whole thing right quick. 2013 Bowling Green graduate assistant, 14 Cincinnati defensive assistant, 15 Kansas, 16 Auburn, 17 Clemson. Stuck at Notre Dame for about 6 years as a defensive back coach, and while there, coached Kyle coached Aloha, coached Xavier Watts, who was the all rookie this year. And now they've tapped him to come up and be the pass game and secondary coach. Again, I think Jesse went, and I almost called him Mike again. Jesse went for the best guy available and not, like Sutton said a minute ago, not somebody that was already, I mean, like Kerry said, not somebody that's already in his phone. And I love that he doing. I think Chris even mentioned it before he got up out of here. He's taking resumes and looking at, are you the best for the job? Then going there. Even though there are some familiarity things, but still, in certain positions, it ain't just, don't look like it's just buddy, unless it's deeper ties than we know. But Kerry, I'll start with you. What you think about the Mickens hire?
Man, like you run through the list of DBs that he's had in his tenure, and like that alone gets you excited. A lot of different good players, but a lot of different skill sets and body types, which tells me there's a versatility to what he brings, and he knows how to teach different guys different ways and how to utilize them. And, you know, again, there's a theme of youth with this coaching staff that I love. He's not resting on any laurels with any of this. You know, anybody can come out and say, hey, I want to be innovative on all three phases. But the staff that he hired proves that he wants that. He wants to remain on the cutting edge. And, you know, Mike Mickens is a huge part of that. It just makes me, the relatability that they're going to be able to have in these rooms with the players, with having these younger coaches, is going to mean something. Like Chuck Pagano, we all were excited about Chuck coming back into the building. And I'm sure Chuck did great things. But one thing Chuck can't do is relate to these 20-somethings in the same way that a Mike Mickens can.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, part of being able to teach is being able to meet people where they are. Yep. And this is a coaching staff that's going to have probably a better opportunity to be able to do some of that. So, you know, I just thought it was a really another like ambitious hire that had synergy with the group.
Agreed. Son?
No, yeah, I mean, I agree with everything that Kerry just said. And then, you know, I'm just looking at this guy's resume. Coached at Cincinnati, Kansas, Auburn, Clemson, Notre Dame with Kyle Hamilton. These are all college. I mean, in Bowling Green back in 2013. I'm sorry I didn't mention that. But the biggest thing for me is that, I mean, we've got a lot of college coaches, right? Who are on this staff now. And I think what is really special about that is that they actually, I think, teach the game a little bit differently from guys who have bounced around the league for so long, right?
Yep.
When you're in college, I mean, you got to teach these guys fundamentals, the basics, right? And I think that that's something that he's going to bring to the NFL level and kind of reminding these guys, hey, no, look, who taught you that? How long have you been doing that? Right? No, like you need to get back in the fundamentals, right? Get back to the basics. I think that's going to be huge for this defense. I look at young guys like Nate Wiggins, who, you know, Nate Wiggins is probably our best corner, right? Like arguably, but he still does have some kind of deficiencies here and there, as we saw on some Sundays last season. So I think that he'll be able to reel in guys like that, guys like Marlon Humphrey, if we were to retain Marlon Humphrey, getting him in the right positions, and then just again the collaborative effort all underneath Jesse Minter. I think that this defense is going to be absolutely humming this upcoming season. So I'm excited for Mike Mickens as well. And I think the best point that Kerry made was, you know, again, just the relatability that he'll be able to have, you know, just chopping it up with the guys and having those guys really trust in him and believing in him. Because again, Chuck Pagano, love him, you know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, Chuck Pagano is what, 60 something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, and he probably slamming beers on the couch right now. I'm just gonna say, you know, I think that Mike Mickens coming in, a young, rambunctious sword. He's gonna get those guys fired up, ready to go. Same thing with Anthony Weaver, like I mentioned earlier. I mean, I'm just loving it right now. I'm loving the entire coaching staff.
All right, so that'll be the last one we talk about. It's more, but you know, conversation got so good that we definitely not gonna get a chance to get to them. But I do want to show y'all one thing. See, it's an open spot right here. Now, and people on my mouse, you see that right there where it say wide receiver coach. It's an open spot right there. I know a guy. I know a guy.
I
Talking
know
about
that
me.
guy too. Right. I was about to say, I
Pick
know that
me.
guy
Pick
too.
me. I ain't put no resume in or nothing. Just pick me. Pick me. But nah, we definitely got to get a wide receiver coach in here to get them guys, speaking whatever Doyle's gonna speak, because I really think with what I've seen from Doyle's offense, a certain individual wide receiver could have a really big year. And I said that last year, and he failed me. But just seeing the difference and knowing what I think what kind of player he is, I think he could have a really big impact in this new offense. I think. But overall, I give him an A on the staff that he's assembled so far. What grade do you guys give him?
Yeah, I mean, I am on record saying that I give them an A minus, and the only reason why I said the minus was because, the offensive coordinator position with Declan Doyle, like I mentioned before, I use the analogy giving Declan Doyle the keys to the Lambo or the Ferrari or whatever luxury car you want to call this Ravens offense with Lamar Jackson at the helm. I just question if it's going to take maybe a year or two, or maybe even three, for a Declan Doyle to really, really get accustomed to calling plays, letting the bullets fly like in real time and being able to respond in real time. I believe he can do it, especially with Joe Lombardi, hopefully up in the box. But but for that, I mean, again, for that reason, I just think it might take a little bit of an adjustment period while the Ravens are in a Super Bowl win now window, right? I mean, as much turnover as there's been on the coaching staff, it's still not going to be any excuse to not go to a Super Bowl and win it next season.
Right.
Those are going to be the expectations. And that's a lot to put on a very young coach, a first-time offensive coordinator, play caller in Declan Doyle. Again, I believe he'll be able to do it, but we're just going to have to see. That's why I give it an A minus. It's an A, but I put that little minus right there. It's a little asterisk, really. So A minus for me.
Here.
Yeah. I give it an A plus, man. And I'll give the alternative view to what Sutton just said. You're giving the keys to a Ferrari to this 29-year-old, and that's risky. He's absolutely right. There's risk in that. I would say there's just as much risk, if not more risk, if you give it to a veteran who is only going to drive it 45 miles per hour in the right lane. You have to have somebody that is pushing the envelope, pushing things forward. It was, to me, it was such an interesting hire because I remember saying to myself before they made the hire, and Chris and Mike, they know I've been telling them, like, early on in the process, like, Declan Doyle is somebody they need to at least talk to and let him talk himself out of a job.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to all these young cats and see what it is they have. And to me, with Mentor, it was kind of like when they were talking about Cliff Kingsbury, I'm like, look, don't hire anybody that you think that you can lock up on Sundays. Like, Mentor is that kind of cat. He's that kind of dude. Like, he's a difference making play calling, defensive play caller.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wanted him to hire a coach that he thought that would give him some problems. And I think it's clear by them passing on Cliff and, passing on some of the guys that maybe have more experience that they could have hired, to hire this young guy is, okay, this is a guy I think could potentially give me some problems if I was calling plays against him. So, like, yeah, it's very risky, but I also, like, shout out to him for being willing to take that risk.
Agreed. And we'll see. That's all we can do now is, get these few more spots filled. I think Tila put that the tight end coach is somebody Grossi.
Zach Grossi.
Zach Grossi. And that might have been in my slides already. Let me throw that back up there. Let me see. That might have been in here. Let's see. Nope, maybe not. Okay. My system was on it. My system
There
was
you go.
on it. GPT, you was on it. That's your tight ends coach. And you see that a lot of these. Oh, Southern University. Okay, I gotta check to see what dog at. Okay, and Sean Payton is what I was going to say. You see Sean Payton
Yeah.
influence throughout this
Mm-hmm.
thing. So
Yeah.
we'll see how they put this thing together and go from there. And again, I appreciate you guys for joining us for a very informative episode of
Yeah.
Ravens Roundup. You got to know most of the coaches. Again, if we finished all the coaches, we might be 2.5 hours. It just was good conversation. It wasn't surface level stuff like you get in some places. But you come to the right space. If you have not hit that like button, please do so. Go follow Deep Cover Podcast. Their link is in the description. You never know when you're gonna get a great episode from them. Follow Sudden at PRP and Sudden Reactions. Both of those links are in the description as well. Now, when Sudden Reaction comes on, let go to Sudden Reaction. Don't stay in PRP. When Sudden Reactions is on, bring your butt to Sudden Reactions.
Yeah.
Trying to transition, and y'all don't seem like y'all getting it. He got over there so you can direct you to where we need to be.
Yeah.
So
I want everybody in the same live chat. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Appreciate it, Coach.
It's all good. But follow my second channel as well. There's a bunch of draft videos over there. And Chris and Mike will be here tomorrow. We'll have our installment of Draft Junkies. I know we have been doing it on Tuesday, but when we get together probably once a month to do this, the Draft Junkies will probably bump to Wednesday. So we will shoot an episode tomorrow of Draft Junkies, and we'll have some defensive linemen. One defensive line in particular that I finally watched today that everybody's been talking about is Peter Woods. So if you want to hear my thoughts and Kerry's thoughts, and not Kerry, I've been trying to get Kerry on there. We talk about you all the time. My thoughts, Chris thoughts, Mike thoughts. And,
hey, I be pulled up with a pen and a pad.
Taking notes.
I've been looking at receivers right now, so I'm deep into that. I catch y'all at some point. Actually, no, but I did watch a game of Caleb Banks.
I watched it
earlier today.
He ain't played but 3.
Yeah,
which is crazy. He played 3 games. Matter of fact, he right here, his notes right here. He only had 96 steps this year. Which is crazy. But at 6'6", 330, you think he probably 6'6", 280, the way he moved. So
he got 3
games gonna get him paid.
Yeah, I got my issues, but he got some closing bursts to him now.
He do. He don't finish either. But we'll talk about it. Hey, I appreciate y'all, man. Again, hit the like button on your way out, and we'll see y'all on the next one, man. Peace and love.
Peace.